Hello, I am Bentham and welcome back to Factorio Railworld. In the previous episode we completed work on Iron Outpost 3 and started on Stone Outpost 2, so we're going to make our way down there and finish off what we were working on. We've got the wall mostly in place and all the turrets. We just need to get ammo and everything and then work on the miners and get the trains going over there. But we need to finish off like Iron Outpost 1 first, because at the moment there's still a bunch of stone there that we need to empty out. But while I'm down there, I spot that the train from the midpoint happens to be visiting, which is a relatively rare occurrence because of how long the journey is. It's probably like a 5-minute gap between each visit, and it's only present for something like 30 seconds. So we grab it and take it over to the outpost, though we do have a slight accident where we crash into the back of the mega train. Luckily, we can repair that up with our power suit pretty easily, and we'll get it over to its new stone loading station. And get the timetable and everything set up right. So we'll finish with the defences, get that last corner of the wall in, and then just make our way around putting in all of the ammo. 25 in each turret, and that should be fine. I imagine this outpost will probably never be attacked. I feel like Iron Outpost 2 or 3 would be attacked first, just because they're on the corners and this is on an edge, so it's sort of a bit further away from the biters in a certain sense. So it depends on like what bases do what with the biters anyway. One particular base could just spring up right outside the outpost and cause all sorts of trouble. And at the moment there are quite a few bases that are very near that we will have to deal with. But we'll make sure to do that before they come along. And the pollution I don't think ever reaches them. It gets a bit close at one point when we're in the middle of putting efficiency modules and everything. But I don't think there's any point where the biters actually get angry about this this base being here before I come along and destroy them all. But there is a radar outpost in the middle of this, so I just hook that up to the system. Usually I would like get rid of the turrets and the solar panels and stuff like that, but I was feeling a bit lazy and I didn't have enough inventory space to put solar panels in without them being in a new slot, and I couldn't be bothered. So I just put in a long-range power pole next to it to connect it up, and that way we do keep the solar panels in the network, so we've got slightly more power production than if we got rid of them anyway. And if for whatever reason there is some sort of power failure, the radar will still operate, and it might even continue to operate some of the outpost because of the solar panels will just be part of a general network or something like that. But we get all the miners in place, we start going around with efficiency modules, but we don't have enough to get them all set up yet. But I start putting in some of the belts anyway, just to use up the belts that we have, and then I'll grab some more from the main base while we're down there. And I sort out the power network as well, trying to be as efficient as possible, which is a good thing about having all the miners in place straight away, is you know exactly where you can put the substations, and you can put them in sort of the most efficient places possible. And I think we manage it with 4 in the end, and they're not actually close enough to all interconnect, but I just put a long-range power pole in the middle of everything to make sure they're all part of the network, and that's fine. Which does mean that some of the miners were operating for a minute without efficiency modules, which is why the pollution went a little bit further than intended, got a little bit close to the base, but it wasn't too much of a problem. We'll also get this random one over here hooked up as well. We'll just have that go into the end of one of the lines, and it does end up getting priority just because of how I've arranged the splitters and things like that. There's more emphasis on the miners that are closer to the loading area, which is not necessarily the good way around, because otherwise you might be able to like shrink the size of the outpost if you're working on the outer bits of the deposit first. But anyway, we hop on board the train and take it back down to the main base so we can carry on with the other stuff that's down there. We'll hop out as it passes, managing to not be hit by it as we jump off, which is always good. It's sort of like maybe not a 50-50, but it's like a 70-30. Like there's a 30% chance that you'll just get hit by the thing you're jumping off, or something like that. It's probably 50-50 unless you sort of remember what direction you got on the train by, because I think that's important. I'm not really sure. It's not. It doesn't happen often enough for me to remember. But we're back at the main base, and we get a bunch more concrete being placed. We start concreting the furnace area just because it's nicer that way. It makes more sense. At this point, I'm just sort of concreting anything that I have structures on, and maybe I should have more stone just to add a bit more decoration to it. But at the moment, I'm just sort of trying to burn through the stone supply. Actually, using stone brick as the flooring would probably be a better way of doing it. It might burn through the stone supply itself a little bit quicker. We need to do half the flooring, I think, to do the same amount of stone usage, because I think the way it works is 1 stone brick gets turned into 2 concrete, or it's like 5 gets turned into 10 or whatever. Something like that. I think it's changed a bit because you're putting in extra stuff for the concrete. But I'll do decoration some other time. I'm doing it in town, so that's fine. If you want a nice bit of flooring arrangement, you can go there. But I'm trying to sort of balance out the cargo wagons and just get the chests emptied. So I'm doing a bit of messing about with 2 trains. I bring in the spare train that we had parked nearby and started loading that up, because I prefer it to just be like stored in a random train rather than still in these chests, because I want to get rid of these chests and get rid of the rails around here, because I have plans for this particular area that I've been waiting for ages. Like I've just been waiting for dozens of episodes for Iron Outpost 1 to finish and then to get through the stone supply. If I'd had a bit more foresight, I would have got the stone supply being mined a bit earlier, but I didn't think it through, and we're getting done with it now. I mean, we've got all the mining done, it's just a case of getting it unloaded from the chests. So anyway, that time we try hopping out of a train and nearly get killed by it. It's not always exactly right. I think I hopped on like the right and then tried to hop out and like go left, but I came out of the right and just walked in front of the train that I'd literally just jumped out of, travelling at 100 miles an hour or whatever. But we now have all the materials needed to complete the work on Stone Outpost 2, and with that it should be done. The only thing we need to do now is set up that 1 remaining train to travel here instead of Iron Outpost 1, and apart from that, we should never need to visit that outpost. It's got all the miners already in place, everything's got efficiency, everything's hooked up, so it should just run itself. And after we leave it, we go up to Iron Outpost 2, which is in a similar situation. We've got the entire deposit covered, so it's just a case of coming along and like clearing out some old miners every now and then, just to be efficient so we can use them somewhere else. And it's just sort of the end of every column's used up, and a couple of them on the other ends as well, which is a bit confusing. I think it's something to do with the throughputs of blue belts, because there are still some yellow belts in the system, so gaps appear in weird places, and miners that are closer to the loading point end up having a chance to do a bit more mining or whatever. And there's also the fact that the ones on the edge generally have less ore to mine anyway. But with our work done there, we just had to do a bit of clearing up. It's a bit messy. There's a lot of like substations and turrets dotted around the place we could clean up, but I can't be bothered. We'll work on it once Iron Outpost 2 has run out, if it ever actually does, which may get us out of doing the work ever. But anyway, it's time to deal with the biters around the edge of our radar range, because they've been advancing for a while now. It's just something we have to do every like 5 episodes or so. We have to just come along and push them back again, make sure to keep them beyond the radar range, and just basically erase the previous 5 episodes of progress that they've made. So as we run through here, let's talk about, I guess, the latest developments in the world of Factorio. So there's been a new Factorio Friday Facts that's just come out, which has elaborated a bit more on the idea for the loader, which I've mentioned before, but I'm not sure if I've mentioned it in a Railworld episode. I know I've talked about it in Living with Biters, so I guess if you really want to find it, you can troll through some like episodes, somewhere between episode 70 and 90, I guess, would be when I discussed it. But anyway, I'll give you a brief overview. So, about a month or so ago, they proposed an idea for a new kind of structure in factories, and it was sort of similar in its general purpose to a splitter. Well, in sort of the general concept of it, it's sort of in a similar area as a splitter and an underground belt and things like that. It's sort of a variant of belts that has a blue, red, and yellow version. And the idea behind it is that you can load and unload any sort of container, like a chest or a cargo wagon or an assembler, at the speed of a belt. So you hook it up to a chest, and then you have a belt going out of it, and it like converts the contents of that belt into a fully compressed belt's worth of that material. So it's basically a turbo unloading, turbo loading sort of system. To sort of help increase throughput in areas, because often the limiting factor in terms of throughput can be an inserter leading into an assembler that needs a particularly high amount of some material or other and stuff like that. And it's so that you can like instantly transfer the contents of one chest to another via belts and things like that without needing millions of inserters and other chests. And basically, it's sort of like an alternative to an inserter item stack size bonus. Because at the moment you can have really high throughput between two nearby containers, because you can have a fast inserter go from one to the other and it transfers 5 at a time. But if you want to go onto a belt, you can only do 1 at a time, which is a lot slower, and it's at the speed of the fast inserter. So if you want to get like a full blue belt's worth of some sort of material moving, then you need a huge number of inserters and things to make it go fast enough. So the idea was to sort of fix that, but the concern was that it might fix it too well, and it might like ruin a lot of good things about sort of factory building, and make it so that it's sort of the solution to most problems. Like throughput will never be a problem again, because the loader can make anything go anywhere as quickly as a blue belt can carry it, and if a blue belt isn't fast enough, use more of them and stuff like that. But after a bit of discussion, and after people like considering how it might cause problems, how maybe it should be really expensive to construct, or maybe it should have different dimensions, which was my sort of idea of it. I was thinking maybe if it was like a 2x3 rather than a 1x2, which is what it was originally planned to be, then its bulk would make it less of a sort of solution to all problems, because you'd only be able to have so many like leading into an assembler and things like that. There wouldn't be enough room to have millions of them from every side and stuff like that. But in the end, the developers, after looking at people's suggestions and opinions, seem to have come up with a better idea. They're now thinking of doing some sort of heavy inserter, or loader inserter. I guess the name is still being decided on, as the sort of design of it is still being. But basically, it will work like an inserter, but it will have a stack size bonus that it can apply to a belt. So like I was saying, so basically what it does is it will pick up 5 items at once and deposit them on a belt in a string. So if you have enough of them leading into one blue belt, you can still like fill up that full belt without needing like so many fast inserters and methods of compressing it and stuff. You can just have a few of these inserters and they'll be able to fill it a lot better without being sort of massively overpowered in terms of working in a factory. So I think it's a really good idea. And if you don't get what my explanation was, because sometimes I'm not very good at that, you can go over to the latest Friday Facts and look at it there. And if you're in the distant future, I'm sorry, I have no idea what the number is. Just look at the date and I guess work it out from there. Maybe it's in the game by now. I wouldn't be surprised if it turns up in 0.13. It seems like a much better idea. As it is already, it seems pretty good. Like it can grab 5 items at once and deposit them at once. I don't know whether it can pick up 5 items at once from a belt. It might just be for unloading, but I don't see a problem with it working for loading as well. It'd definitely be an interesting addition, and I'd probably make use of it in a couple of places. It would help with train unloading in one particular area, because one of the things about train unloading is the only way to get it at a decent speed is to have buffer chests, so that you can have the inserter item stack size bonus applied to it, so that you can take 5 things out at once per inserter. Then you can have like 14 inserters if it's a horizontal station, and that allows you to empty it out in, like, empty out or fill a cargo wagon in something like 15 seconds. I don't know what the specific times are. I just sort of guess it whenever I'm working out a train system. But with this, you'll be able to not bother with the buffer thing if you really want to. It is sort of, it's one that opens up more options rather than solves all the problems at once, that sort of thing. But yeah, we'll see what happens with it. It may still be cancelled, it may be changed, the original loader idea might be worked on some more. Who knows, we'll wait till 0.13 or maybe even 14 to find out where that goes. But anyway, we made our way back to the main base. We finished with our work on the biters for the moment. There are some more that are still inside radar range. I've sort of gone around and cleared out the edge, and even expanded the edge a bit more, so there was a bit of room to put in a couple more radars. But I sort of left behind the biters that had got really far inside radar range, which is a weird way to do it, really. And I'll go back and deal with those soon, but I think that's enough biter killing for today. We'll get back to some factory building stuff. So I think next episode we'll go and deal with those. Part of the reason that I stopped was because I ran out of destroyer drones as well. I only had like 5 left, which amounts to 25 individual drones, but that's not really enough for your average base. If you were really careful, you could probably take out a smaller sized one with it, but I generally like to go in with 50 destroyer bots in any particular biter battle, and then sort of add from there if I need a few more, things like that. But anyway, back in the main base working on the stone. There's been some time for the stone to all get used up and turned into concrete, and we're nearly at the stage now where all of these chests have been emptied out. And I do a bit of messing about because I've still got the 2 trains. One of them's just hanging around in the spare train station a lot of the time. I get it sent to the stone output just in case that helps, I think. Or maybe that's the one from the midpoint, I forget now. But either way, we end up with a bunch of clogging up going on with that train, because it's sort of... That's a big problem with this sort of station system. If you have a train waiting, it can block up a lot of stuff. So like half a dozen plus trains ended up waiting there because one by one they all got stuck in different blocks and blocked each other and stuff. Luckily it wasn't any sort of system where it would end up with a gridlock, but it took a while for them all to sort of clear out again. And that is a reason why I would like to set up a larger station system, and one that has room for waiting trains. And so that is what we're going to be doing. We're going to get rid of this branch of the network here so that we have a bit of room to work with. And we'll just put in a bigger main station. I don't know if we'll switch completely to it. The one that we have at the moment is alright for most purposes. It's kept us supplied with iron and copper and everything. But we could definitely do with some more space. I've had to occasionally cut corners and have I've cut down to 1 copper station after I originally had 2 for unloading. So I had room for the stone one. Well, there we go. Look at that. The bots sort of keep this sort of image in the air of the branch as we remove it. But there we go. The Iron Outpost 1 branch, after existing pretty much since like episode 5 or something like that, is finally gone. And I would have liked to have kept it in place, but I did want to build something new here. If I wasn't planning on building something, I would have just left it there, as I've done with other stations and stuff, like the one leading to Copper Outpost 2, which has been gone for a very long time. Maybe it's Copper Outpost 1? I lose track of which one's which at this point. I think it's still labelled anyway. But that one's been in place for a while, even though it's not been used for anything. But it turned out good because I ended up using part of the branch to lead to the coal outpost anyway. So we move the spare train out of the way. I find a place to park it in the sort of circuit unloading area in the middle of the factory, and that allows us to get rid of the current spare train area we have. This is sort of... It's not big enough, really. If you have like more than 2 trains needing to park there, which has happened a few times, then you're in a bit of trouble. They start all clogging up everything and causing issues. So we're going to have a new spare train area in this new station that we're building that will be a bit more spacious and have more capacity to it. But we're also going to get rid of this loop here, which is maybe... I don't know whether this is a really good idea or not, because it means that any trains coming out of the main station have to travel a little bit further before they can turn around. It's going to make that particular junction very busy with all the different trains travelling through. And it's going to slightly slow down the system as it currently stands, but it'll give us some nice room to work on some good station stuff. So it'll be fine, maybe. We'll find out. There might be an increased chance of trains getting backed up and stuff, but I don't think there'll be any gridlocks or anything like that. We do have some chain signals on that particular loop, which is the only one I've done it for. People have advised me to put chain signals on more often, but I'm used to this already. I'd have to go around and change them all, and at the moment they've been working fine as it is. Because when I originally set up Railworld, chain signals didn't exist, so I built it so that you wouldn't need chain signals. And so I've not really bothered too much about them. And in future things where I'm coming up with new rail systems that wouldn't have previously worked but now do, then I'll be using chain signals more for that and things like that. I mean, I'm using it a bit up in the in Mega Copper to make sure we don't have issues with the loop and the transition to a single track system there and stuff like that, which is something that I couldn't do so well before. And there was also used to be an issue with the oil rail loop, where it would only have worked with chain signals, but because they didn't exist at the time, I just had to compromise and I got rid of some oil pump jack or something like that. But anyway, to make as much room as possible for our new station stuff, I'm just clearing away a bunch of trees and things, but I end up causing a bit of trouble when I use up all of our storage space again, filling it with wood. But we get a new chest in place and clear things up a bit with the storage chest as well. And we've now got this huge open area to work with, and I'm still sort of not 100% sure on the design. I've got vague ideas in my head. So if you've got any cool ideas, then by all means mention them in the comments, and I'll see what people might come up with. But I started sort of forming the basic idea anyway. It's going to follow a similar system to the current main station. Of it just has this sort of it peels off to a horizontal, not a horizontal, a vertical line, and then there'll just be lots of horizontal lines in between. It'll sort of be endlessly extendable. because this time there won't be any water in the way like there is with the main station. I can just keep extending it up, but we put in like the first of the stations, which leaves quite a large gap. We could be a bit more efficient with that, make use of the diagonal and stuff like that, but we've got sort of a basic bit of some sort of structure in place, and I decide to bring the Megatrain over to see what it's like. Because it would be nice if the Megatrain could get a slightly larger station to work with, because when we have like a train on the back for reversing and stuff like that, the current station can no longer support it, because I didn't consider that and didn't leave enough spare room. Anyway, I try and maneuver into the right place, but I end up messing up. I try and reverse and crash into a train that's waiting in a block behind me, so I end up having to take quite the detour up to a more remote loop that we won't end up crashing into other stuff around before I can bring the train back down and park it in the right place, and we'll see how much room there is available. The only thing is, it's going to take quite a bit of work to actually get a new Megatrain station set up in that area. We'll have to do a lot of copying and pasting of chest conditions, and then get all the contents transferred over and stuff like that. It'll be a bit awkward. So I don't know if I'll bother, but I do bring the Megatrain along, and I find that there is plenty of space, not just for the train itself, but for extra bits on the front and back and stuff like that, which is excellent. But I shall say, I shall say goodbye, thank you for watching, and I shall see you next time.